There he is.
There I am.
We're just saying, where is Alex Megos? He's supposed to be German, and there you are. So
I am, I would say, perfectly on time, no?
yeah, you're perfectly on time, actually. Like,
Well,
being on time is being late, isn't it?
that's true. I was kind of planning to be a minute early, of course, but I realized I don't have Google Meet, so it redirected me
Right.
to the App Store to download it.
Ah, shit. That happens all
But
the
yeah,
time.
I made it work.
Yeah. And you are currently in Kentucky.
Oh man, you should check it out. Have a look. How do I flip the bloody camera? There we go.
Uh-huh. You need to tidy up.
Yeah, I know. It's not very German, but they don't have a broom here. They only have a vacuum. So
Nice colors.
Nice.
oh, it's so good. You two would absolutely love it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
But you spent a lot of time in the Red River Gorge, right?
Yeah, I do. I do.
And how long will you be there for this time?
Like 5 weeks or something. Oh, on the wine, very good. Cheers.
Yes, cheers.
I'm still on the Yorkshire tea.
Yeah. But it's early. It's early for you.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's early.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm here often, and yeah, I've got 5 weeks. It's a little bit like Frankenura, so it's tricky with conditions.
Yeah, I know. It's really
Which
like super warm and super cold and moisture
in
and
the same week. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Last year we had, I think, within 4 days, it went from 25 degrees to pretty much 0.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was here with Chris, and he was saying, you told me to bring a down jacket. Why? Because like for like 2 weeks straight, we never used a jacket or a pullover climbing. And then in week 3, like we had like no down jacket would prepare us for what came because it was so cold. It was crazy. Like it was -degrees, and it was snowing and windy, and like you couldn't climb anymore.
Oh shit! But it also has its upsides because that's also why the Kentucky whiskey ages so fast. Because the barrels, the barrels, the wood expands and it contracts, and that gives the flavor, so it ages more quickly.
That's actually what they told us. Huh? They told us that it actually ages much quicker than like Irish whiskey or something, because so it's rare to find a whiskey that's, let's say, 20 years old over here, because it ages much quicker.
Yeah.
How are the conditions now, actually?
It's today is warm, so it's really hard to say. Today it's dry but warm. It's like 20 degrees maybe, but beginning of next week it's supposed to be maybe 5 degrees and a little bit of snow eventually. So yeah, it's really hard to say.
And I guess the cold and dry is what you're looking for. I assume the main reason you're there is that famous project of yours.
That's actually for the whiskey, but yeah. Yeah, the famous project of mine, yeah, exactly, which is a bit of a finicky and annoying project to have, because, well, I feel like it's not even crazy hard. That's the problem. But it's just not very steep. It's like only 30 degrees overhanging, which then makes it, a lot dependent on skin and temperature and humidity. And over here, that's unfortunately, I feel like that's even worse than the Frankenura sometimes, because because it's not super steep. So in the sandstone, it makes a huge difference, unfortunately, when it's cold and dry versus when it's like, warm and humid. So, but it's exactly that project. Yeah.
Yeah, I prepared by watching a couple of vlogs, German ones, about that project, and I tried to decide. Well, I do understand German, so it's not that big of a problem. But yeah, reading is easier than listening. But anyway, it's I gotta say it's really aesthetic looking.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool, like line, but it looks honestly quite, heinous and painful and not so nice to climb.
Yes, that's, I think, a perfect description. It's probably what, if you would show a picture to that to kids, they would be like, oh yeah, this is what hard climbing looks like, like overhanging small holes, like super blank. But yeah, it's heinous to climb.
And it's so cool to because I mean the direct start which you're trying, the direct start we should say to pure imagination, when you actually reach pure imagination, the route, it looks like jugs comparably.
It's over. So I'm pretty sure whether you climb to the top of pure imagination, or whether you just stop where the two routes meet, would make no difference for the grade, because it's like the 8B plus that you climb afterwards is so insignificant to the difficulty that, it's literally all jugs compared to the first half.
Well, we'll get to the grade in a little bit, but I have a question. I mean, the first part there it's going to trash your skin, right?
Yes.
How much can it trash your skin and you can still make it to the top?
That's a good question. I mean, I experimented a lot in the last 3 years, and at some point I tried, one of the mistakes I did was I tried the project too often, and there's quite a few holes that cut on very specific spots in the skin. And when I tried too often, it was so painful on my skin that even with then I would just use as much tape as possible. But then of course there were some pockets where with tape it wouldn't really work. And I realized I tried so many times that I kind of need a week of rest for my skin to recover, but which then obviously I was not, willing to invest, rest for one whole week. That seemed stupid. So I'm trying to be smart and only try it maybe every third day now, to make sure that I don't get splits on exactly those spots. But let's say scenario, I climb past the bottom and I have 3 bleeding tips. For the upper part, I think it would still work. So should be all right.
Okay, because it would be such a bummer to actually get to the upper part and not being able to climb it because you're bleeding fingers.
Yes, I'm really hoping that's not gonna happen, but yes, it will. No matter how I get to the upper part, it will be one of the most nerve-wracking 8B pluses I will ever climb in my life.
For sure. Do you work on the upper part a lot to just get it super dialed?
I try to. So usually, even when I don't try the lower bit, I like through pure imagination, I pull up to the upper part and I just run a lap on the upper part just to make sure that I've got it dialed. Yeah.
Smart.
So
Yeah.
what's the actual problem with the route? You said it's not super hard, or not
It's not next level hard. No.
Yeah.
The problem is, I think the problem in 2022 was that I did not have the beta that I have today. I feel like if I had the beta back in 2022, I would have literally just climbed it in week 3 or 4 and would have been done with it. The last hard move in the lower part is a bit of a big move dynamic, and I was going for a long time, I was going right hand, and then after I fell there, I think a handful of times, I changed the beta and went left hand, but with different footholds. And then only last year I found better footholds, which made the last move much easier, I would say. But in 2023, I only got to the last move, I think, twice or 3 times maybe, still with the old beta, and didn't do it. In 2024, I got to the last move only once and was super close with the new beta, but it didn't work. And the problem really is the first 2 quick draws. It's like a 8B plus boulder problem to get to the third quick draw. And it's got some super small and also quite flat crimps. So when it's warm, I can climb the upper, I can climb the rest of the hard part, but I cannot do the first half because my skin is too sweaty. And when it's super cold, I can climb the beginning but then usually I'm out by the time I get to like the red point crux. So I don't know. It's super annoying. I haven't really figured out what to do and what temperature is good. And last year I thought, the colder the better. But then, well, Chris and I were standing there with I think -5 degrees in wind, and then even the sandstone felt like glass. So yeah, it's hard to say. I think you need maybe a bit warmer temperatures that the sandstone actually cuts into your skin. But yeah, it's like always, I don't know, it's like hard to find the right balance.
Yeah, I guess too dry also makes it easier for the skin to split.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
But this kind of like super difficult conditions to find, does that count? Like, does it add to the grade somehow? Could it difficulty, because it's going to be more difficult to climb the route?
It is more difficult to climb the route, but I feel like I invested a lot of time into just finding the right sequences, especially for the first boulder, because the first boulder is super skin intensive, and if you have no idea what to do, I literally invested, I think, 10 days only to like figure out the moves and totally trashed my skin. So if somebody has a video and sees exactly what to do, it saves so much time also for the upper part that I think if like a good climber on who is super good on that style, he could probably just come, and if he gets 3 weeks of good conditions, just like do it, and it would not be terribly bad. That's
Right,
my
but
fear anyways.
now that's your fear, of course, but then again, it should suit your style, should suit yourself, right? This particular style.
I would say so. It's for sure my style, but I would say there is some other styles that I'm even stronger at. But yeah, it's not my total anti-style.
And are you sure now that you have the perfect beta?
Wow. It's probably until Stefano comes and finds some new variation that I didn't think of.
Do I hear some something here?
And let's say there's not very many people willing to try those routes. I know that Sepp was here, Sepp Björn, he was here maybe a month ago, and he didn't want to try for obvious reasons. I mean, it was, I think, 25 degrees and humid, and yeah, exactly. No chance. But there's not that many. I feel like the US is a place for strong boulders, and there's many strong boulders in the USA, but not terribly many lead climbers. So yeah, it kind of the route got unnoticed, especially since the the hardest route in the red is only 9A. Let's put it that way. That's why it doesn't really attract that many people that are climbing super strong. And it's also heinous to try. So
yeah. So are there other hard projects around, or is it this one of a kind thing?
There is one that Sepp tried, which is the Odyssey project. That's quite well known here as well. It's totally different style. It's super steep. I think it's 40 or 45 meters long. And the breakdown that 2 people have confirmed now is a bit like a 8A plus route into an 8A plus boulder into an 8C route, which will probably end up at 9B or something. So totally doable and looks super cool. And there's actually a same sector as my project, like 10 meters to the right, another project with a few manufactured holes, unfortunately. Like some of the pockets were drilled, but I think that will also be around 9B plus. So there is a few projects.
Did you try some of them?
I did not try the Odyssey project because, well, I mean, you see like literally, I think 30 quick draws hanging, and it's crazy steep, and it's a total mission to like try it. And every time when I was here, I didn't want to invest more time into something else. But the other project that's right next to, between Pure Imagination, Golden Ticket, that one I tried, yeah, actually yesterday a little bit, and also the year before and the year before. As a bit of a funny situation because I tried it the first time in 2023, and when I came back in 2024, one of the pockets that was there the year before literally just disappeared. It got filled in by well, people were saying by a guy from Cincinnati. So yeah, suddenly out of a potential 9B, like where it was kind of over, the crux appeared now, and it's for sure 9B plus as well.
Right. Well, so pros and cons, right, I guess.
Exactly, and I'm still looking for a way to make those drilled pockets less seep, which I don't know what to do. So if anybody is listening out there who has like the perfect recipe for what to do when you drill a pocket and it seeps, yeah, I kind of need that.
And I guess it's not super tempting to have two like 9B plus ish projects at the same time at the same crag. I mean, any energy wasted on one of them is going to be
Yeah, that's what I thought at the beginning, but since I could only try like the main project for me, like every second or third day, I kind of struggled what to do with the rest of the time because, I mean, I came here the first time in 2012 for 3.5 weeks or 4 weeks. And back then, literally, my goal was to climb every 8A upwards that there is in the guidebook. And I did a pretty good job. So I think I ended up with 40 or 45 8A to 8C plus routes that I did. Back then, not thinking that I would come back too many times, but now I'm literally here, like, I don't know how many times now, and I've got nothing to do anymore, like nothing. Like, I can climb some new 7Cs, and there is the odd new sector that appears, and there is like a few the routes as well, but yeah, at most of the other cracks, like the popular cracks, I literally have got no route left. So yeah.
So that's pro tip for all our listeners: don't climb all the hard routes in the place at the same
First
time.
tip. Yeah.
So literally now, since I realized that there's a problem, I actually started saving routes. For example, in Flatanger, I don't want to have the same problem that I have with here. I don't want to get to Flatanger and only have, BIG and silence left. It would be nice to have like a few more routes left. That's why I'm kind of holding back.
That's smart. So to finish off the project here, does the project have a name, by the way?
No, not really. I mean, people call it Pure Direct. That's like the name that people would call it, but it doesn't really have a name in the guidebook yet.
But the breakdown, how would you break it down into sections?
It's 8B plus boulder into 9A plus route. So it's technically it's not crazy. Like if you put that into Dark Grader, whatever that means, it gives you 9B plus, and that's also the feeling I get. I don't think it is harder than 9B plus, but yeah, it's just one of those ones that are annoying to try.
It's good that you said that because I was just going to check.
Yeah, I think it's literally 9B plus if you put it in. So.
Yeah. Do you use Darth Grader a lot?
I don't use it a lot.
Oh.
I just recently got aware of it when we were in Arco for a Patagonia meeting, and well, we heard about this Darth Grader thing, and I had heard about it before, and I told the other guys, and then we did a little test, and everyone sort of gave the breakdown of one of their projects or their routes, and we saw if it actually adds up to the grade that it actually is. And I mean, it was, I think, correct in 6 out of 6 times with the 6 first routes that we tried. So the reason for why I did that was actually because there is a route in the Frankenjura that is, well, probably now my main focus. Well, because it's in the best climbing area in the world. And I think it was Yannick. No, it was not Yannick. It was Russ Kloon who actually tried to put the breakdown of that route into Darth Grader. And the result was good. I liked the outcome. So
what project is this? Is this something you have seen on a video, maybe?
Yes, you have seen that on a video. It's like this video I did with Yannick and with Chris maybe a couple of years ago. like the hardest sport climb in Germany. Yeah, it will for sure be the hardest sport climb in Germany. So that's the project.
Right. Okay. So how does it feel being away from that right now?
My heart is broken, literally. I'm so happy that it rains in the Franken-Jura, that I'm not missing out on the good conditions there. No, but I mean, I made this trip happen now with a few friends. That's why I decided to come for sure. But like, if there would be the scenario that I would have come to the red alone, and the weather forecast looked like absolute shit, I probably would have canceled my trip to stay in the Franken-Jura and try my route there a bit more.
Right. Are you close on that one?
Not super close. It's doable, but I'm not super close. Like that breakdown is not. I think the breakdown is 9A route into 8C boulder. So it's a good 8C boulder. It's like proper Franken-Jura style, like big move into a mono and then another move to a mono. So
pretty low percentage, right?
Yeah, which is I think annoying for trying, but it kind of makes the route also super interesting because you kind of have to always climb this annoying 9A to get to the actual crux. And I climbed a couple of times to the crux now, and I did the 8C boulder in 2 parts. So it's totally possible, and it's just, I think, a matter of time, but I wouldn't say I'm super close yet.
So it's a little bit like Excalibur then, I guess. But Excalibur is shorter, I suppose. But it's like in that it's pretty hard climbing into a last hard move.
Yeah, I mean, it's lengthwise, it's similar to Excalibur actually from the moves, I would say. It's not very many moves. And I mean, Yannick tried it as well, and he thinks it's way harder than Excalibur, which is good to know because so for Yannick, he said he thinks it's at least 1 grade harder because like all the sections are harder and he struggles much more with route in the Franken-Jura. So, and I think he's also decent on that style. So
that means it's at least 9C then.
Well, that's what Darth Grader says, and I mean, who would ever doubt Darth Grader? You know,
no one.
No one.
Should not. Don't.
Never ever.
I put in 2 different scenarios for the route because, like, the 9A at the bottom it has like a few intro moves, and then it only breaks down to maybe like 6 or 7 hard moves to get to the crux. So I thought, what would happen if you replace the 9A route with an 8B boulder? Because I think that's approximately what it is. So if you say you have an 8B boulder into an 8C boulder, and that also the outcome is also 9C. So
probably 9C then.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Actually, when you try to red point a project, which you are trying to, like, what goes through your mind, and what do you try to keep out of your mind, if anything?
That goes through my mind. I try to do a lot of like breathing exercises to like stay calm, and when on the project like the one in the River Gorge now, I think the intro boulder is so important that I try to only focus on the intro boulder because I don't feel like focusing on the rest is helpful. There's so many tiny little pieces of beta, micro beta, that are important for the first 2 quick draws that when I stand there, I literally try to go through those. But yeah, it's I really try to avoid thinking about the top because the top of pure imagination where the roots join, it will be such a shit feeling to climb it because you know exactly that you're not supposed to fuck it up, and I won't, and I know that, but still it's not gonna be pleasant.
And how do you motivate yourself actually, like, coming back, because it's not in the Franken-Jura, you have to fly over, and you know the conditions are unsure all the time. So yeah,
It's a good question. I mean, at some point, felt I already invested so much time that it would be almost like a waste of time if we would stop trying now. And then, I mean, there's alternatives like the Frank Euro, but until this year, I didn't really have an alternative because, the project in the Frank Euro had existed, but it seemed impossible. So I was not super motivated to put time and invest time into it. And I mean, then I thought, well, what are the alternatives? Like the alternatives could be to climb something in Spain, but sure works. But the thing in the River Gorge, it's cool. I mean, it's sharp, yes, and it's heinous to try, but you look at it and it's a unique line, and it looks unbelievable, and it's crazy that you can actually climb it, and that's why I think it's motivating. But that it's that it's in the US, it's a bit of a downside. It's on the other side of the planet, so.
I can totally get that you want to be the first to climb such a line.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's kind of like all there. All the pieces of the puzzle are on the table. It's just waiting for the day until like everything falls into place and it just happens.
So you feel you're now like you have it dialed enough and you have the level. So it's just about the right day, basically the right attempt.
I think for the past 3 years, it was just about the right day, the right attempt. Yeah, like even more so now that I have the perfect beta, or like the beta that maybe is a bit easier than what I was trying 2 years ago. But since then, it's only about getting the right day and the right try. And unfortunately, like at least half the days are like it doesn't work because the weather is not right, and then it's just a bit of a patience waiting game.
I think we need to get back into that right beta thing because I picked something up there. Like, what if you had climbed this in 2022 with the wrong beta, and you would have given it a grade, say, and say someone else came along? It could be, I don't know, Stefano, and he climbed it and found a better beta and downgraded your route. How would that make you feel?
Well, obviously shit. That's why I already calculated the downgrade into my grading as well. So I would never have graded it more than 9B plus. So
what do you mean by that? You calculated a downgrade into your grading?
Yes, I thought back then, maybe it is 9C. But then I realized after the first season, oh, maybe I don't have the perfect beta. That's why I don't think it might be harder than 9B plus. And also by falling a few times, it kind of encouraged me to look at different options. And I had Yannick try a little bit 2 years ago. And apart from that, he thought it was disgusting. He said he thinks I've got good beta.
Okay. Well, like, I mean, it happened to us before when you put up a bibliography that you worked a lot on it, and then it got downgraded, which is also, I think, at this level, whether something is 9C or 9B plus, is it really a fact?
I think with bibliography it was a fact. Yeah, I had shitty beta, but I think what was my mistake was that I found better beta because the beta I had before was so bad and so much worse that when I found the new beta, I was like, oh yes, that is it. Never considering actually that it still might not be the best beta, but I think the way I tried it in my first season, like it would have been for sure 9C at least, because it was so much harder than even what I did and way harder than what people do now that I think as soon as I found new beta, I was like, oh, okay, this must be it. And now with this route over here, I'm kind of like, I feel like every time I check out some moves, I'm still trying to find and like stay open in my mind and still try to find new things, which I think was also why like last year I found like a new foot sequence for the last hard move. And I think that's one of the mistakes that I did in the past, that at some point I kind of never started looking or never continued looking for new alternatives.
At the same time, when I look at the route, it doesn't look that it's possible with so many options, because there are like 0 holes basically, right?
Yes, that's it's funny, but it's still crazy. Even though there's such a limited amount of holes, it's crazy how many different betas you can come up with, you know. And that's literally what I did. Like at every bolt, I was like, okay, let's just try to find a new beta just to see if there's any other options. And it's crazy, even though there's like almost no holes, you can come up with so many different betas. And I'm sure somebody who is much smaller, because it has a bit of a reachy move in the middle, somebody who's smaller will do it a different way that I've also checked out. But yeah, for me, would be harder that way.
So if you're finding like a new beta on such a hard route, like is it like usually just a micro beta, or is it completely different? You know, like changing. You said once you go now with your left hand in place of the right hand. Is it like always so big change, or?
No, this was for sure one of the biggest changes. You know, like usually like the tiny little things you find is when you like you have a crimp with 4 fingers, and like before you start pulling to the next one, you switch to 3 fingers because it rotates the hand a bit more, and then therefore you can like pull better. But that's usually the betas I'm looking for. But yeah, once in a while it's crazy beta changes, like going with a different hand.
That's kind of big, but usually like
Yes.
positioning or something.
Yeah, mostly it's positioning, maybe finding like a different foothold. Those are like the things that make a difference as well. But yeah, once in a while, it's literally like completely using different holes and going like half a meter further right instead of further left using a different hold.
Sorry, just like the project you have in the Franca Jura, like what did it change? You said a few years ago you thought it will be impossible. So did you get stronger, or you just get motivated by other people, or what did it change?
Well, the answer I want to give you is I got stronger, but that's not the case. I think, that was also one of the projects where there was multiple options, and I actually put in another bolt to back then what I thought might be the most doable option is where, so there's like a project, and then to the right of it an 8B plus, and they kind of join on the very last bolt. But I thought it might actually be easier to make them join like one bolt before and climb into the 8B plus. So I put in another bolt and tried that for a while, which was then the beta I got stuck into. And it was literally like a 2.5 meter sideways dyno into a 3-finger pocket. That seemed at some point the most the most doable option, until I think I teared a huge flap on my index finger when I was kinda in the pocket. I was enough in the pocket to get a huge flapper, but I was nowhere close to holding the swing at all. Like in my mind, it never really felt possible. So I'm like, okay, this can't be it. And then with the original line, the one I'm trying now, with like going a bit more straight to where they join on the very last bolt, the problem was I got confused because there was one very obvious foothold, and from this very obvious foothold you could exactly reach the mono that you have to reach from an undercling, but you couldn't really generate momentum. And then Yannick actually found a different foothold, much smaller, that first, like when I first saw it, I'm like, it doesn't make sense to use that when you have almost right next to it like a huge foothold. But it made all the difference, and it made that move possible. And actually that was beginning of this year, and that's why I actually was so motivated now to take up the project again, and did all the moves in the end and realized, okay, it's actually possible.
So different beta again.
Yeah, so sometimes I rely on smart climbers like Yannick to show me the good beta.
Yeah, he's got glasses. So
I know. Yeah. Well, thankfully he's got glasses now, because I remember when we did route observation like a few years ago in Briançon, for example, in the finals, when we were there together, he was literally, I was like, yeah, and then you take that black chip, and then like you take that chip, and he was like, can you see that? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, he was totally convinced that it's absolutely impossible to see that from the ground. And I'm like, no, Yannick, I'm pretty sure everybody else can see it too. And then I think next season he came with glasses and he's like, oh my God, it's such a huge difference.
So that's why he's in the finals instead.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? He literally did route observation and pretty much couldn't see past the third quick draw.
So we've been mentioning quite a few projects now, but I know that you have more than that. Like, which level of priority would you give to the projects that you have if you should rank them around the world right now?
Okay, one, Frank Mira project, for sure, just because, well, it's in the best climbing area in the world, obviously. Two, I would say probably the Red River Gorge project, just because I invested a lot of time and it's kind of a bit of a journey for me that I would like to end at some point. And then three, BIG in Flatanger. Those are the ones.
Yeah. So you've no more Excalibur for you?
No, it's I thought it would suit my style perfectly, but it for some reason doesn't. Like the last boulder up there with the pocket, I struggled so much, and then I see other people literally almost kind of like chalking up on that move that I can't really do. Then I realized like it's a cool route, but it's for me not worth investing so much time into it. I'd rather invest my time into something else.
Would you invest more time if it were 9C?
Well, if it would be 9C, I think then not so many people would do so exceptionally well on it. And then I would be more psyched maybe. But I see when I compare to other people that it doesn't suit me. Especially that pocket in the very end. Like, I mean, it's like the German problem with the fat fingers. I literally can't get my fingers in there, and it makes the pocket feel so bad. And the helog is super high, so I think it's hard. So when people are saying, "Oh, it's maybe not 9B plus, it's maybe 9B," I think that's bullshit. I think it is hard. And
who said that?
Well, there's always people talking. I mean, I don't want to put any names out there, but there is people saying that, it's maybe only 9B, which I don't agree with. I think it's 9B plus and it's hard. But I also think that in the future, once more women realize that they can actually climb hard, I think more women will climb Excalibur than men.
Because of that pocket, or
because of that pocket, and because usually it doesn't have a super big move, and women have often more finger strength than men, and that's one of the key aspects for this route. And if you can, there's one hold in the very bottom, the very first hold. I think if you can fit your fingers in there, it makes the first boulder much easier. And if you get your fingers in the last pocket up there on the last crux, it makes that much, much more doable. So I think women tend to have smaller fingers and have more finger strength. I think they will do better on Excalibur.
I think that's interesting, because what we're seeing now is that the difference between men and women in lead climbing is so much smaller than in boulder.
Yes, because bouldering is often more force.
Yeah, and it's also more about like explosive power and that kind of thing, obviously.
Yeah.
Not all the problems, but yeah.
But quite a few of them, yes. But I totally agree. I think we will, like the gap, let's say, between male and female climbers in lead climbing will get much smaller. And there is a lot of routes outdoor hard routes that women will perform better than men. I mean, something like Perfecto Mundo also doesn't have crazy big moves, Sure, there's like that bit of a jump move from the mono to the pinch, but it's totally doable when you're not super tall. And something like Cafe Colombia, something like Bibliography, all those routes, like you are usually better off with good endurance and finger strength than like being just tall. So I think all those routes will see female ascents in the future, and yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah. So last question about hard projecting. Would you say that it's important to you to climb 9C?
It's important for me personally, yes, because
Yeah, personally.
Personally, yes. I know I can do it, and I would like to, because that's on, let's say, on my bucket list. It's kind of like at some point bench 100 kilos in your life. It's just on the list, and you need to tick it off at some point. So I would say on top of my priority list in climbing, it's for sure to climb 9C. So.
Do you think that's your limit, 9C?
That's a good question. I feel like it gets much more unlikely to find something that's harder that suits me super, super well. I mean, it would kind of have to be ideally in the Franken Europe, because A, it suits me well, and B, it's, well, in my backyard sort of.
Yeah.
But I would imagine like the perfect 9C would then be for me that project that already exists in the Franken Europe. But let's say after the 8C boulder, you have another 8B boulder. And then it would totally be 9C plus. But, well, unfortunately, there's no 8B boulder after the 8C boulder. So, like, I don't think it's harder than 9C. But yeah, I think in the future we'll get much more unlikely to just find the route with the right difficulty for people to actually grade it 9C plus. And I think that's why a lot of the hard routes are first ascended in Flatanger, because in Flatanger, like, you could totally already have a 9C plus and a 10A there. It's easy to find it there, because you have something like Silence, which is 9C, but the anchor kind of finishes quite low, and if you'd wanted to, you could just from the anchor climb into the crux of Move, which is well, also hard 9B, and that would for sure make it 9C plus at least.
So it's about combinations, and not it's going to be difficult to find like an independent line, I guess. That's
exactly. That's why it's easier in Flatanger to find the hard line, because you can just, let's say, swap the beginning or swap the middle part or swap the end and make it just a bit harder, or a lot harder, but still doable because all individual parts have been done. But it will be hard to find it somewhere outside in the world, somewhere else, I guess.
But why would it be less 9C pluses than 9B pluses, really?
Probably wouldn't be. I guess we just haven't looked yet, or haven't bolted them yet. Or, I mean, I feel like even a lot of the 9B pluses that exist, they were kind of projects that I don't want to say have been chipped or manufactured, but let's say by bolting something and by looking, you can kind of reinforce or take off something that's loose to kind of still make it possible. And that kind of happened with all the existing projects to an extent where, like, all the routes ended up being, let's say, maybe 9B to 9C, because that's what people back then or people now could imagine. And yeah, maybe in the future, if the great 9B plus and 9C will become more established, then maybe first descendants will look with different eyes and be like, maybe in the past we would have reinforced that, but actually it's not necessary. So if you rather take it off, then maybe it's 9C plus.
Yeah.
So
but what if you found a project in the Franken Euro now, like at home, your backyard, and it looks like the perfect 9C plus, but there's this blank section that needs just one little drilled hole, and that would be
I know, I've been thinking about that many times. I mean, I wouldn't do it, because for me it's not worth it chipping something to make it possible for me, because that's exactly what a lot of people in the past have thought. Like, they were like, oh, it's impossible, you just have to like put in one hold here and then it's 9B, which would have been maybe the limit back then, but not realizing actually that by putting that hold you kind of limit the grade to only 9B, whereas maybe future generations will feel like, actually, if you would have not put that hold, it would have been 9C. So I don't want to be the one to judge for future generations whether that's possible or not. Like either I find something that I can climb, or well, that's how it is.
But what if someone sneaked in and drilled that hole?
Then that someone is probably like a proper bastard. But well, then I would probably climb it, yeah. But definitely be honest about it and say, well, somebody drilled a pocket.
Do you see some like human limits for the great, or the great limits in the future, or is it still open for you?
I think it's still relatively open. I think we will eventually climb 10A because it's, I mean, going back to Flatanger now, it's totally imaginable. Like, let's say you take silence, and instead of the 8A plus or 8B that leads into the crux of silence, you start further left and you climb a 9A into that same crux of silence, and then you don't stop at the anchor, but you continue into the crux of move. It's for sure 10A, it's definitely gonna be 2 grades harder than silence. And it's totally imaginable that somebody does it, because all the sections have been done. So who knows what will happen in 20, 30, 40 years. Maybe somebody is like a good, like crazy good talent. Maybe training will have evolved a little bit. Maybe like there's just a higher baseline of hard climbers, and maybe somebody will say, well, I made it my lifetime project now to climb that line because I think it's 10A. I think that could totally work.
Cool.
But yeah, whether we'll get past 10A, good question.
Probably.
Exactly. Maybe in 100 years' time, but
exactly.
Yeah, more things will come into play, such as like skin and conditions, and I think some of them you can affect. Maybe I don't know. They'll find a crazy wound healing cream that makes your skin super dry and elastic at the same time, and you have much better friction. Maybe chalk will improve, shoes will improve, and yeah, maybe they'll find a way to, I don't know, improve conditions at the crag as well. So who knows what will happen in the future?
In Dubai or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Recently, I listened to an interview with Johannes Höstflot Klæbo.
All right.
Do you know who he is?
No.
No, he's like the world's best cross-country skier. And like in the last World Championships, he took all 6 possible golds in cross-country skiing.
So he's a proper athlete then?
He's a proper athlete. And anyway, he was talking about his preparations for these World Championships. And he said that from August, which is like half a year before the championships, everything 100% was centered around his training, his diet, his sleeping. Like he didn't meet anyone except his trainer, who's also his dad. And like that's everything he did. How far do you think climbing is from that situation where athletes would focus 100%? And would you consider doing that if it would mean that you could climb 9C plus?
I mean, the problem is that in climbing that doesn't really work because, I mean, as a climber, you at the moment, if you're a sponsored athlete, you kind of make your money through, well, also being, let's say, an asset to your sponsors. So like the whole concept already wouldn't really work because then that would mean you can't do any events for your sponsors, and you would only think very short term because, well, we're not footballers. That means after our professional climbing career is over, we will not have enough money to like live out happily for the rest of our lives, which means if you let's say enter your 30s, you have to consider what you will do in the future, and that usually is something like, I don't know, start a YouTube channel or open a gym or something, or a climbing hold brand for wooden holds. But those are all things that you have to take care of. So A, I think it's not doable at the moment in climbing, and B, climbing is not an endurance sport, and I think that's a huge aspect that people totally neglect. You can have the best nutrition and the best sleep and the perfect training, and then still somebody for some reason like has better genetics, and you'll just have more finger strength than you'll ever have in your life, no matter if your training and your diet and your nutrition and everything is perfect. and he'll just beat you, you know. And I think that's exactly what climbing is, because that's why climbing attracts all those, let's say, like nerds and maybe like peculiar people that are maybe not proper, let's say not proper athletes in terms of their way of living, but they're world class in what they do, because climbing is so much more than just like a physical performance, you know, and genetics and those things are so important that, yeah, like I don't think it'll work in climbing like it does in other sports. Plus, um, the World Championships is an event where it doesn't really, let's say, the World Championships now in cross country skiing, like that guy who then, you know, targeted everything to become world champion. Well, he's only world champion if everybody else is worse. You know what I mean? But you don't climb 9C plus by everybody else being worse. You have to climb 9C plus because that's the route and you have to climb it. So just by being the best, you will not succeed in your goal that might be climbing 9C plus. There's so many other factors that are important, like unfortunately weather and conditions and like does it fit your body type, that purely through dedicated and professional training and nutrition you will not get there.
But do you think
I
that
thought a
if
lot about that. Yeah.
yeah, apparently, but like if say we got the best the all the people with the best genetics for climbing are into climbing, then this preparation would of course come into play, right?
Yes.
But that would incline that you had to have like a lot of money in climbing as well.
Ideally,
a lot
yes.
of money. Yeah.
Ideally, yes. And I mean, I would say most of the the progress that all the athletes make are due to those changes, you know, better nutrition, better sleep pattern. Like I do, for example, I did a lot in the last years where maybe like my physical performance did not improve significantly, but like the rest of my preparation did improve for me to then be able to climb harder. So
I think the big difference between cross-country skiing and climbing, it's like climbing is more complex. You know, like the movement is always different. In cross-country skiing, you have like the standard movements, more or less, you know, which you can precise and it will be always same. But in climbing, yeah, you see, like in hard routes, you change the micro betas all the time and stuff. So you have to adapt really like all the time. So
but then again, that makes it even more impressive that one guy could win everything, because it's like so standardized. Everyone's doing the same thing, and well, that's genetics as well. So
it is genetic as well, and there's more of a database of what you have to do, like it is in running and cycling. Like there is a strict training plan that you have to follow, and if you follow that training plan, you will succeed. That unfortunately doesn't work in climbing because everybody needs to work on something else, and everybody can take a different load of training. You know what I mean? That's, I think, something that is a huge factor now. The older I get, the more I realize that you can't train, unfortunately, like when you were 20. And it makes a big difference if you actually have a bit of a finger injury or not. You know, it like throws you back so much. And those are things that you always have to consider. And when people say, but it's, let's say, it would be so easy to climb hard because you just have to like pay attention to this, like do some fingerboarding, do the right nutrition, the right sleep pattern. But then you have athletes like, yeah, I don't know, like Will Bosey, and I'm almost certain he does not have the best nutrition that there is on the planet. And he still has stronger fingers. Exactly. And he still has stronger fingers than everybody else. How do you explain that? Well, I feel like sometimes there is no explanation. Like it's funny, but sometimes in climbing there is no explanation for why the things are how they are. Like Sorato, I'm sure he also doesn't have the best nutrition, and sometimes I feel like the Japanese, they just go climbing, you know, they don't do any specific training. And you know, he walks into the gym with his milkshake. He only, you know, takes 20 minutes to warm up, and he still beats you in a comp simulation. How does it work? I don't know. There is no explanation. Climbing is too complex to say, well, do this, and the result will be that.
Right, and still you have so many, people saying in social media, this is the perfect way, do this and this will happen, which is just, you can never copy someone else.
Well, it's sensationalism, everybody wants to hear that miracle formula.
Yeah.
How many messages I receive just like that ask me, well, how do I get stronger fingers? I'm like, well, I don't know, fingerboard for 10 years and you'll fix the problem. There is no quick fix.
No. Or you'll get injured after 1 week or
Exactly.
10 minutes.
That's exactly it, fingerboard for 10 years or like do specific finger training for 10 years without getting injured. And I guarantee you will have stronger fingers, but that's not what people want to hear. They want to hear like, oh, incorporate this exercise 5 minutes into your warm-up and you will have stronger fingers. Well, that's not how it works, unfortunately.
Oh, so it was pointless, the whole interview. I was hoping for something.
Okay, we have no more questions.
Sit like this on the couch for like 5 minutes a day and you will be stronger.
And that's one broken leg.
Exactly. Yeah, that's often the thing. There is no quick fix for things. It's often a lot of time that you have to invest into training, into actually also in climbing, at least finding out what you specifically benefit from, because I think that varies a lot from athlete to athlete, and then that's what you have to do.
So about competition climbing, you've been in competition climbing where at first you didn't compete and then you started competing and then you competed for a long time and you still compete, I guess.
That's a good question. I ask myself that same question over and over again. But go ahead.
But the question is, how would you say that competition climbing has changed since you started competing?
Oh yeah. I mean, my first World Cup, believe it or not, was in 2009 in Germany. And back then, the biggest hold, I think, was approximately like this big. And now you will struggle to find any hold that's smaller than this, actually, just because, well, usually they put up a big volume and then like a screw on the volume to make it possible to hold it. But competition changed so much. I mean, the style of routes is the one thing. In bouldering, I think even more. But the style of climbing changed massively, but also the amount of people that are competing and the amount of people that are competing on a high level. I remember even 8 years ago in 2017 when I re-entered the competition scene, like if you were a good athlete, let's say in the top 5, you could climb one qualification route, and then it literally did not matter what you did in the second qualification route. You could have literally said, "No, I don't want to climb that," and you would have still made semifinals. That's not possible anymore nowadays. I feel like you need 2 good qualification runs already to get into semifinals. And I still remember what Jakob said a few years ago. I mean, he's in the circuit for much, much longer, and he has seen even a much bigger change in competition climbing. But some years ago, he said, when he started, if he did feel a little bit of a pump in semifinals, he knew he was in finals. But I'm almost certain that even nowadays for Jakob, it's not like that. Even somebody like Jakob really has to fight to get into finals. And that's just because of the sheer volume of people that are super strong is just exploded, like tenfold at least.
And if we're talking about the climbers, the athletes, how are they changed?
A lot of them, a lot more are from Asian countries because they realize that they have exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh shit, this is easy. Exactly. So I think that's a big change. I mean, I still remember in 2013, I remember climbing. I was not competing, but Benny Hartmann, he was already the coach of the Japanese team back then, who always brought some Japanese athletes to to Nuremberg, and we trained a little bit. And back then I trained with Tsukuru, who then became the first Japanese to win a bouldering World Cup. And that was only 11 years ago. It's kind of crazy.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, it was interesting because I remember back then Akio was there as well at some point, and there was like this other guy, Tomoa, and he was completely unknown. I think it was in 2015 or something, yeah, or 16. It was, I think, the year before he became overall world champion. And we went outside climbing one day with Akio and Tomoa, and he couldn't thread an anchor. So it was a bit of a problem just warming up already in the Franken Europe because, well, I always had to go afterwards and like clean the route. And he was trying this 8A plus center court, classic Wolfgang Güllich route. And sure, it's not easy, but you would expect from a world-class climber to be able to climb that in a day. And I think he gave it 3 or 4 burns. Akio did climb it, and he didn't. And I was like, crazy. And Japan is sending that to like represent them at the competitions, like insane. And then the day after, we went to the gym and had a competition simulation, and he completely obliterated me. Like he did some moves. That's back then when like the new comp style was like starting to come up. And he did some moves in the simulation where I'm like, okay, that was pure luck. You can't do that again, you know? And then he like literally did it on repeat over and over again. I'm like, this is unbelievable. That's impossible. And yeah, I think there's just many more people that since then grew up in exactly this style. And therefore, they can do things that 10 years ago seemed unimaginable.
How do you think the Olympic Games changed the climbing scene and like the World Cup circuit? And
it changed the World Cup circuit, unfortunately, in a very negative way, because the World Cup circuit doesn't count in most years for a lot. Like in the year of the Olympics, anyway, the World Cup circuit, nobody gives a shit. In the year before the Olympics, nobody gives a shit because it's all about the qualification for the Olympics. And in the year after the Olympics, a lot of the athletes that were in the Olympics say, well, we kind of want to take a break. So the World Cup is also not what it used to be. That means out of 4 years, there's maybe only 1 year where the World Cup circuit actually counts and where there's like all the strong climbers that compete in the World Cup circuit. And I think that's kind of sad because the Olympics are cool, but I don't think that the Olympics really, like the World Championships, they don't represent often who is the strongest climber over a season. Like there's only the the World Cup circuit who then says, okay, he was definitely the best climber this year. Like even if he didn't win the World Championships or the Olympics, he was overall the best climber. And it's sad to see that, like, yeah, the shift is so much towards one competition that appears every 4 years, and the rest becomes more insignificant. But in terms of financial situation, for most climbers, I would say that the Olympics did not was not a huge benefit, unfortunately. Sure, there's like a handful of climbers that get during the year of the Olympics or maybe the year before, like good deals with sponsors and they can make some money out of it. But overall, I didn't see the impact on climbing that I'd hoped for, that maybe more climbers will be able to, make a money out of climbing. Yeah, it's still, you have to be in the military, you have to be in the police, but just by being a professional athlete, you will have a hard time making money.
Yeah, and also the Olympics, there's so few climbers in the actual Olympics, and it impacts everyone.
Exactly. And I mean, you can hate me for saying that now, but often it's not like all the top athletes in the Olympics either, just because of all the regulations. I mean, let's imagine, I always think back of Tokyo in 2020 or in 2019 when the qualification was, and there was already 2 Japanese qualified for the Olympics. And then there was Kokoro Fuji, who won the qualification event, but he didn't qualify because there was already 2 Japanese qualified. And I mean, how must he feel when he sees somebody getting a ticket who, like, would never ever beat him in any competition, and it's just because of, well, the continental quota or this quota or this. Like, I understand why they do it, because they want to have a worldwide representation in the Olympics, but claiming that the absolute best athletes in the world represent climbing at the Olympics is a false statement in my eyes.
I agree. I think that's a huge problem, actually, for climbing.
Yes.
Because at one side, I want to see climbing at the Olympics, of course, but not with 12 climbers in each.
Exactly.
discipline.
And I mean, I don't know if you know more than I do about what the qualification for relay looks like, but yeah, I think it's probably gonna be something like that, no? 12 to 14 climbers per discipline, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah. Are you yourself interested in trying to qualify?
It depends if I can get enough rock climbing done the next year. That's a priority number one for sure. And then it also really depends what the qualification looks like. I would like to know what the qualification events are, how many people actually can make it, what the quotas are, because, well, then you kind of can see if that is actually doable, if it's worth investing time into competition climbing, or whether it doesn't make sense. Because let's say, hypothetically, there's 12 spots or 14 spots for lead climbing, then you have to take out at least 5 spots that are the continental spots, or 4 spots that are continental spots, and that leaves you with probably less than 10 spots. And yeah, so it's not actually 14 spots that you can occupy. It's only like maybe 8 or 9.
I think it's actually less. I think yeah. But it's ridiculous somehow. Yeah, let's just leave the Olympics for now. Let's.
But what about, like, generally, like, competing? Do you plan to continue on it, or rock climbing now?
Bouldering is for sure out. I decided if I'll at least drop one discipline per Olympics. So after Tokyo, I dropped speed climbing. After Paris, I dropped bouldering. Also because it doesn't make sense for me to boulder anymore. I mean, I'd have to train a lot in that style and invest a lot of time to maybe end up on 10th place, and that's nothing I would like to do. So if it'd be lead climbing, but that really depends also on my rock climbing, because in the past 3 years I have invested, well, some people say I have not invested all in competition, and that's also not what I'm claiming, but I invested a lot of time in competition, and that definitely took away from my time outside, and I don't want that to happen for 2 more years. We'll see next year, I guess.
We'll see next year's. Different topic. In the past, you've had pretty strong opinions about knee pads, and for a long time you didn't use knee pads at all. But now you do sometimes.
Now I have 6, I think.
Okay, so what made you change your mind?
I realized if you want to climb 9C, or if you want to at least repeat one of the existing 9Cs, like, either you're along with knee pads or you're out of the game. And I even already picked the one that, probably where the knee pad is, not as important as maybe on some other hard routes. But if you want to go with the times, and if you want to repeat the cutting edge routes of today, either you strap onto knee pads, or you are like 2 grades stronger than everybody else, which I'm unfortunately not. So yeah, the knee pad was the obvious choice.
Your project in the Frankenjura, is it with knee pad as well?
Thankfully not. I will strap on a knee pad because there's potentially one rest that you could get with a knee bar, but yeah, like all the hard climbing, it's completely blank, and I'm 100% sure that for all the crux sequences, not even Sepp or Jorge will find a knee bar.
How would you look at the solution where we have like two different disciplines, so to speak? Like we have a raw, which would be like shoes and chalk, and we have equipped, which would be like knee pads, gloves, elbows, whatever rubber suit you want to strap on, right? And that could be different grades.
But then where does raw start and end, and where does equipped start and end? You know, nowadays we're only talking about 2 knee pads, but what if you say...
Raw would be just shoes and chalk.
Yes, and equipped would be
everything you want.
So at the moment, everything you want would be 2 knee pads. Let's fast forward maybe 10 years, and climbing has evolved, and it could be more. Just then the grade of equipped constantly changes because we have more equipment that we use.
That's why we always have the raw, like the raw option.
But then the raw option with only chalk and shoes, like what if somebody invents some crazy chalk that sticks much better? Or what I see more likely to happen, especially in bouldering, like people start modifying their shoes to like fit a specific heel hook, and that's what they're doing nowadays. I mean, if you look at somebody like Dave or Giuliano, I'm almost certain they don't always climb just with a out of the box shoe. You know, they modify it, they glue on some rubber, like they add something here, they take something off there to make it fit specifically for this one foothold. Is that then still raw or is it not? So
no, actually, if we should take it seriously, it would have to be like competition rules, basically, that it has to be a shoe that's on the market.
Which then is crazy because, I mean, we're still talking about outdoor climbing, and we're talking about something that we love doing outside because we enjoy it, and it should like that. We climb outdoors because we don't want to be in a competition, and if then suddenly outdoor gets restricted by the competition rules, then the whole point of outdoor climbing is defeated. Then we should have a judge at every major crag and be like, well, that's a valid descent, that isn't.
That's I think it's complicated because on the other hand, you don't want to see a like a development where you have more and more equipment and like I said, like rubber suits and whatever you can come up with, and it's something completely different than we call climbing today, free climbing today.
Yeah.
So somewhere, I don't know, it's difficult to draw the line.
It's super difficult. I think the line is already. I mean, people would almost say that the line is already overstepped if somebody straps, a book under their knee pad just to extend their leg. Yeah, I totally agree. It's difficult, and yeah, unfortunately, I say unfortunately now because sometimes it's only because it's not worth for me. It doesn't mean it's maybe not worth for other people. People will do everything to climb that piece of rock, no matter what the ethics are. And if they can do that, then yeah, I don't know. It becomes a difficult territory. But yeah, I totally agree. It's hard because nobody will stop. Let's say you have a weird top out in Fontainebleau, and by wearing a rubber suit, you make it much easier. Wow. And the grade says V18 9A plus boulder. Of course, everybody will put on a rubber suit.
Yeah, but I mean, like you should be open with the style, and then it's it somehow will get
exactly.
into
And I think that's the more important thing than actually maybe making up rules for outdoor climbing. It's if it's out of the norm, people should be honest about it. And I think nowadays it's almost for a hard first and not necessary anymore to say you use 2 knee pads because people almost assume that, But if you, let's say, climb a classic route that was F8 without knee pads and you do use knee pads, then that's something you should mention. Because, yeah, maybe then the focus also will go a little bit from just the pure grade towards the style of something. I mean, the grade anyway depends so much on the climber, and I feel like often we put too much of a focus on the grade, and sometimes maybe should rather focus on he climbed that piece of rock with this name, and he climbed it in this style, and the style then becomes more important than the actual grade. Because I have noticed now in Flatanger as well, by climbing all those routes, that Adam did the first ascent in 2013 without knee pads. Yeah, he climbed way harder routes, but I think that needs to be mentioned. Like, I think putting the attention on that and actually saying, well, I climbed with 2 knee pads, but what Adam did was crazy and much, much harder. I think that's worth mentioning, and that's why those are the things maybe that we should put more focus on rather than only the grade.
True, but it's harder to get through, of course.
For sure, because you need to read more than just like a number.
Exactly. About change, for example, I heard that the Adam's way, the hardest crux section was like something like 8B plus bowler, which is now like 8A plus bowler with the different beta end pads. But still the route gets the same grade, which begs the question, was it actually 9C before? Like,
good question. I haven't tried the actual crux without knee pad, and I mean, it was kind of the first time I wore a knee pad, so I think I'm not the right person to ask. Exactly. For me, the crux felt all right, but also I think how people climb it now with better knee bar skills and actually somebody who has used the knee pad before, they climbed the crux also totally different than I climbed the crux, even though I was also wearing a knee pad. So I'm definitely the wrong person to ask, but I think it was how Adam climbed it, hard for 9B plus. And but to come back to your question, it's not 9B plus anymore with 2 knee pads and how people climb it nowadays. That's my opinion. I mean, even the upper part, which is in itself 9A, I used knee bars, but whether I would have had a knee pad or no knee pad made no difference, because my knee bar skills were so poor that I kind of climbed. I only literally, when I checked it out, I never checked out the top half with a knee pad because I couldn't be bothered. It was annoying. So I literally only placed the knee bars that he could do with pants. And looking now what people sussed out in terms of beta for the upper half, like it totally makes the route, not 9B plus anymore, my opinion. But yeah, it's difficult because obviously, like, investing so much time into a route and sussing out all that data is also work,
of course.
And and first of all, building up the skill to place all those knee bars and everything is also a skill, but I don't know, do you count that into the grade, or do you kind of take it like for granted that nowadays everybody has I don't know, 9B knee bar skills, and therefore like routes automatically get easier? I don't know.
Yeah, but again, it's so difficult because it means that should we retrograde everything? Like, well, not everything, but all the routes that where knee bars come into play. Like, officially, sort of, change was the first 9B plus, or wasn't it? Like, if it's now 9B.
I think to change history is always not right in my eyes, I think history is history, and change should remain the first 9B plus, even though with nowadays beta is probably not 9B plus anymore. Like, I feel like going back and changing something is pointless because the way Adam climbed it was for sure 9B plus. So that's just how it is. Like, then I feel like there's no perfect solution for it. You just I don't know, have to
because
get
that would exactly, because that would also mean if we say that it was 9B plus the way Adam climbed it, it would also mean that if you climbed it the way Adam climbed it without the knee pads, it would still be 9B plus. So,
well, it is.
It is.
Yeah. The problem is, can you tick 9B plus for it?
Exactly.
That's the question that everybody wants to know. People don't care what you climb and which grade you climb. They want to know what you can tick for it.
Yeah.
Exactly, because that's so important nowadays. And well, I guess the answer, unfortunately, is in this case, you probably can't take 9B plus because you will have not climbed it without knee pads. If you have, then to be honest, I'm the first to then I would be the last to say you can't take 9B plus for it if you climb it without knee pads. I'm an honorable man, and if somebody's so honorable enough to climb without knee pads, he can take 9B plus for it.
I agree.
Yeah. But then it's funny because you are kind of like pushed to use knee pads all the time now.
Yeah.
Even if you know, like, I don't want to climb with them, but it will come someone and he will find like easier solution with it. So it's kind of, yeah, it's evolution probably kind of, but it's kind of sad as well in the same.
Yes,
time.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, I never thought about those things before, but now I always try to imagine, okay, if somebody would be really good at knee barring, what could he do with knee pads, you know? And I'm trying to imagine because I want to avoid that exact scenario where I'm like, oh, look, I climbed this, and somebody else goes like, yeah, but check out this knee bar I found, and it's easy. So, yeah, it's just tricky.
Time is flying, and I think it's time to do our questions from Instagram, a few of them.
Let's go for it.
And this one is from my good friend Thomas Ekefalk. You know him, Vladek.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So this is a question. Bobby Bensman once said, "When my motivation for climbing is low, I put on lingerie. What do you do?"
Well, my motivation for climbing is low. It's a good question. I mean, I rarely have the scenario that my motivation is low for climbing, but when my motivation is low for climbing, I probably go kilter boarding with good music because it's easier, just like go through the boulders.
Yeah.
What's a good music for kilter boarding?
At the moment, I'm very much into like old school German hip hop.
Old school German hip hop. Okay.
Yes.
And well, since you mentioned kilterboard, moonboard or kilterboard?
I'm over 30, so kilterboard.
Okay, and we have one question from Regio Kader Zentralschweiz. What would you tell young athletes if they ask, should yoga be part of my training routine?
Unfortunately, the answer is yes, it should be part of your training routine. I do yoga 6 or 7 times a week, and it is important because I mean yoga is a big part of being flexible, or flexibility is a big part of yoga, and that's very important for climbing.
Why you say unfortunately? That's what I would say, but
yes, unfortunately I say because I know a lot of people don't enjoy the boring part of training, which is stretching.
Lead comps getting in like Hunger Games. How do we stop this trend? Setting or rules, or what can we do to avoid this?
Easy. Just put in BMI cutoff at competitions, and you will fix 95% of the problems. I'm not saying that you'll fix 100% of the problems, but it would help quite a bit.
Do you see a lot of eating disorders yourself, like on the?
For sure. I mean, every climber has, let's say, their well, special eating habits. Let's put it that way. And it's natural, and it's part of the sport. And I don't feel like that an eating disorder is like this person has an eating disorder and this person doesn't. It's kind of a fluid transition, and sometimes you transition in and out of it. I mean, I've experienced that myself as well. So yeah, you definitely see it in the World Cup circuit, no doubt.
Do you see it more between the women's or men's?
It's more a problem in the women's field for sure. I think because still being light and having a lot of resistance is still more rewarded on women's competition routes than it is on men's competition routes. So I would say 2/3 you see it with the women, and then the other third would be the men.
And at the same time, it's also much easier to see on the women.
Yes, it
So,
is. Yeah. It's with the guys, it's harder to see, and it's much more obvious with the women. That's true.
Where will your book, Der Frei am Fels, mein Leben zwischen Boden und Ruten im 9. Grad? Well, when will this be available in English?
I am working on it, let's say. So I mean, it only just came out in German, like not even 2 months ago. So it's probably a little bit of time has to pass, but I'm working on an English version. I don't have any date yet, but hopefully within a year. That would be cool, and would be my dream to have it in English as well.
Good. Why is Hammerfall better for training than Taylor Swift?
Is that Benny who asked?
I don't know. It's not the name
Top
here.
Boulder, I think.
Yeah, it is Benny.
It's Benny. Okay. Right.
Well, the answer is it isn't. Taylor Swift is better, but he hasn't understood that yet. He will eventually.
But Hammerfall is Swedish, though.
Is it?
Right? I think so.
Well, I mean, that's a plus for sure, but it still doesn't beat Taylor Swift.
So, Alexander Megos, we have now reached the serious questions.
All right.
And you have been waiting. I know this. How much do you bench?
95.
Not 100.
Not 100. It's still on the bucket list. But unfortunately, my last period where I was injured was too short for me to get up to 100. So I stopped at 95. And when I was recovered, my finger was recovered, I could go climbing again. And then I stopped benching.
It's still considerably better than anyone else who has been on this podcast.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
Good.
Yeah.
Except for me and Vladek, of course.
Yeah.
But
of course.
Different
But
story.
our climbing is not so significant.
No, but you know that bench counts more.
It's an important currency. It counts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How many one-armers can you do?
I would say probably 6 or 7.
And what was your max? Like,
I think my max was 7.
Both hands. So separately.
Separately, yeah. I usually was always one hand was like one worse. So I think it was like 6 on the one side and 7 on the other side.
Did you ever like really try to max it? Like to
No,
not
really. I that's something I would have done when I was younger, but I did realize that I should invest my time smarter to become a better climber and not just like do stupid things that I did when I was 19.
Maybe you would have done more if TikTok was big when you were 19.
I think then I would have at least got to 10.
So how many pistol squats?
I never tried, and I will never try in my life. So I think I can do a sufficient amount of pistol squats to not be a shit athlete. But yeah, I would, I don't know, maybe 15, something like that.
15?
Pistol squats?
Yes.
It's not that hard, is it?
15, it's a lot.
I've never done one.
Well, let me check quickly. Wait a second.
I hope he doesn't injure himself now.
Well, 1 is very easy. So
okay.
15, no worries.
Okay, that's a lot, I would say.
That's impressive. You're a great athlete.
Yeah.
That was it. How was it?
Crazy. It was good. It was good fun. I love climbing, talking about climbing. It's good. And it's especially those those questions about the philosophy of climbing, knee pads, no knee pads, grade this, grade that. It's fun questions and fun things to think about, because I guess it's like politics. There is no definite right or wrong, and there is no definite answer. There's no this is the way. Exactly. It's just an endless discussion.
Which is super cool, because if would be everything exact, we wouldn't have anything to discuss. So
exactly.
Perfect.
And yeah, it's interesting to hear other people's opinions as well. I mean, it's funny because even my opinion has shifted over the years, and that made me realize that there is no right or wrong. You know, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said, well, if somebody climbs something with a knee pad that was first sent without knee pad, like he can take 5A if he wants to, but not more, you know. But yeah, I think my own opinion has shifted and changed, and therefore I've become more aware that maybe my way of thinking is not always the only way of thinking.
So about that, do you regret any of your famous quotes?
I regret not really regret that there is no such thing as bad conditions. That I get constantly, especially when I say, well, the conditions here are tricky, and I think a lot of times people misunderstood the quote a slightly bit, and the quote was more meant that people should not constantly complain about the conditions. Unfortunately, they are important, but it's no point in like constantly complaining about them. I know they're shit, so try to deal with it and wait for better conditions.
Yeah, and I also think, like what you said, that style is more important than I thought before. Really, in a way, like I was thinking about Sudan Seul, for example, with this knee pad and books and so on. In my opinion, if someone came along and did that problem without knee pads, without books, without anything, and said, well, this is actually 9A+, then in my book, it's 9A+.
In my book, it would also be 9A+. But then there's a bunch of other people that would say otherwise.
Because it's better style. The best style should be counted. Anyway, that was really great talking to you, Alex.
Yeah,
and
thanks a
really, lot. Not that conditions matter, but hope for the best conditions for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Best skin and everything.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Well, thanks you guys too, and thanks for listening, you guys out there.
Okay.
See you out there. Hope to see you soon.
Perfect. See you soon, guys. Bye.
Bye.